desires become reality. At Set to Love, we offer strategies and ideas on how you can stay out of crazy town. See, your human experience is meant to be lived with meaning, purpose, and creativity. You are here to contribute through your essence. We are best friends, moms, entrepreneurs, and above all, find our flow in assisting you to find yours. We come together weekday mornings to bring you ideas to fall deeper in love with your life and the journey that you are on. Take what works and ditch the rest, and always stay set to love. Thank you for being a part of this community. We're all designed to live in flow. So let's go.
Good morning, our Set to Love peeps. So excited to be here with you. Want to say good morning to my buddy. Good morning, Eva. So happy to be here. Yay, right?
Wait, you gotta go the other way. It's opposite. It's opposite.
Okay. Oh, okay. I'm learning these things. Right? Yeah, right. That's great.
So silly.
I'm learning all this fun stuff. Well, you know, it's funny how we come up with some of our ideas of what we're going to talk about and keeping it real, because that's really what we're all about, because it's two best friends sharing their lives. And, you know, you were talking about your son. And so we came up with the idea that we really haven't talked about our kids and parenting in a while. So today is going to be about 3 tips to flow parenting. And I think it's super important because it just is important. So I think we're going to dive right into that.
We want healthy adults in the world.
Yes,
that's why it's important.
Yes.
We want functioning, healthy, happy, connected adults who are pursuing meaning and their passions, right? So,
and we don't want it to take as long. We don't want it to take as long as it took us, right? We want to spare them some of the tripping over a few rocks. That's what I say. So
yes, and so okay, we've got 3 tips today. Well, no, that's 6. Just 3.
Okay, you've got number 1. Go for it.
Okay, so let me just do this and do this.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, I'm ready. All right, so tip number 1 is notice your children's interests and then cultivate them intentionally. And here is an example of what I mean by that. So my son Braden, I wrote about him in the book and some of the things that I see in him. And I mean, I could pick any kid, but he was the one that just had popped in my mind when I was writing. And then last night, well, really the past couple nights, Braden and I have been cooking. So what I noticed about Braden is that, and he will be turning 15 on February 15th. So for the past year or so, he has been following Instagrams, TikToks with these guys that do cooking, and they'll do like, budget meals, or they'll do meals under 10 minutes. And he just is fascinated by it. And I thought, I don't love cooking. I do it. It's okay. Most of the time it's something out of a box or it's chicken. And I feel bad for my kids because it's always chicken because I don't know how to cook anything else. And I don't eat meat on a bone, visible fat, or blood. But then I'm depriving my children, like Braden, who loves cooking and loves all these different kinds of things. And so I started with just saying, let's just go to Walmart and you can pick out whatever food you want to pick out and you can cook it. And as we started doing that, I started to notice he was getting into it more and more and having his own ideas. And so now he has just started helping me with dinners, and he will come with, I'll say spaghetti. And he's like, oh, okay. I got this great recipe for making this sauce. And we're going to do these tomatoes. We're going to cut them up fresh. And then we're going to do this and that. And I just let him go with it. And I don't know where it's going to go. If anything, he'll be a great cook for his family one day. Worst case scenario, best case scenario. And what things I was telling him, I'm like, Braden, think about this. If you really enjoy cooking, you could go to culinary school. You could make videos about cooking. He loves working with kids on the spectrum and different special needs. I'm like, you could do something with cooking and that. There's some combination of things you could put together. So my job as a parent is just to help him recognize where his interests are, cultivate those into strengths, and then give him like a palette of ideas and opportunities that he might want to pursue once he leaves this house. So anyway, that's tip number one. Do you have any thoughts on
Well,
that?
I do. I want to confirm that you're so right, because I have a friend that her daughter at an age of 11, we knew she was into cooking and baking because at 11 years old, she wanted a mixer. She wanted a really good, mixer that was a couple $100. And so from there, she worked at she volunteered at a bakery because she was only at that time 13. And you know what? Talk about cultivating. She ended up becoming a chef. And she, traveled all over the world, and she went to Cordon Bleu in New York for school. And it was just because it all started out. And now their whole family is into, matching with the wines and blah, 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 blah. But, food is a huge thing in their household. So I definitely think cultivating what you see in your kids is so true, because it happens really at a young age. She was only 11 and now she's a chef. I mean, it's just,
and that's how, and she's probably living her flow life.
Oh,
right?
She loves it. And she loves cooking. She loves, how it looks on the plate. And also she learned with Cordon Bleu, which I never knew until, listening to her experience, that when you go to a restaurant, there's so many different things. There's behind the scenes in the kitchen and timing of when the food comes out. And I mean, there's the front of the house and the back of the house. And there's just so many different scenarios and then she found out too that she loved the cooking, but then she loved being in the front of the house, which was greeting the people and going around at the table and asking them about their meals. And, I just think that it's just so amazing. And that was started at age 11.
I would love for her to talk to Braden. I think that would be really cool for Braden. That's the other thing. Like when I see things I might want to do, I go and talk to people who are really doing it. Like, do I really want to do it, or is the idea of it just sound fun? Because you really need to talk to someone who's doing it. And then you go, oh, no.
Oh, well, we'll set that up.
Yes.
We'll do a FaceTime or a Zoom with her, and we can even be on the call to help, like generate questions.
Yeah, let's do that. Okay, tip number 2.
Okay, tip number 2. One thing when I was young, and I heard from my mother, I love you, Mom, but this was one thing I really didn't like, and it was do as I say, not as I do. And I just want to say, I disagree with that 100%, because I believe that our kids are watching us when we least expect it, even if you're in an argument with your spouse or whatever, not to be negative, but those things happen. And that's why I think that they learn by what you do. And so when I was a single mom, instead of having a pity party, part of my what my wanting to do better was that I knew I had 2 little girls watching their mom. And I thought the best example is to do really good with a bad situation. And so that's why I went back to school, and, because then they see a role model of a mom that doesn't fall apart. You pick yourself up, and then they do as you do. And I believe my girls are fighters and really confident women, partly because of watching their mom to say, you know what, we can do this. No matter what comes our way, it can be challenging, but you can do this. And I really do. I mean, I spent time with Brittany and Brooke yesterday, and I look at them and see how independent they are. And when I think of Brooke wanting to go to nursing school, I said, okay, I'll support you. But you know what? When you're going to go to nursing school, you're going to take charge, and you're going to do all the research, find the school, figure out the financing. And when you have all that done, I will support you, and I will come, and we'll make it happen. And you know what? Giving them that independence along with, showing it, I just think that, now she's an RN and doing fantastic. So
I love that. That is so cool. And to that point too, it isn't even just the doing. Like, you were a great example of picking yourself up and putting your life back together in a new way and being that example, but it's also how we speak. So if you're on the phone with me and you're complaining about someone, or if you're, like talking with your husband and you're bickering or you're arguing about the neighbor or you're being catty or whatever, like our kids hear what we say and how we say it, even if it's not in a conversation with them. So really thinking about, how do you want your kids to handle relationships? How do you want your kids to deal with conflict and to interact with people that they don't agree with or they have trouble with? How you do that and the example that you are to them, just based on like the things you don't think they're watching, they are. So that's something I've been trying to be more mindful of, is just would the conversation that I'm having right now at any point, whether they're there or not, would I be okay with my kids hearing this conversation? Would I be proud, regardless of whether, maybe at 9, it wouldn't be an appropriate time for them to hear it, but even if they were an adult. So I think at any point in their life, if they heard this, would they be like, all right, yeah, my mom, she handled that pretty well. She could have done this better, but that was good. Instead of like being one way with them, like, oh, honey, we don't talk to people like that. And then here you are on the phone talking to people like that, right? So totally great.
Another example of that, which is just popped in my head, was I remember one time Brooke had an assignment in college, and you had to write an article about someone. And I was so happy that my daughter, the title was One Special Woman. And it was the best feeling. And in that article that she wrote about me, one of the things that she said was, my mom always asked me what was my part. If I complained to her, she would always say, what is your part? And I feel that made me such a better person, that I could look at what I could change and what I could do and what my part was in it. And it's so true, because you just never know, because if I had a bad day and different things, I would say, you know what, I just yelled at you and I am so sorry. Like that was not fair. Please accept my apology. So I think kids need to know that you're human, you make mistakes, but you've got to be accountable for it. Before you go to bed, even if you feel bad, you've done something with your children that was inappropriate, you go in there and take responsibility, because guess what? Then they will. Yes. And they realize that you're not a perfect person, that you make mistakes, but you're going to make it right.
Well, and in any conflict, there is never just one person. It's never just, it's all that person's fault. There's, what is your part? You contributed, you were part of it, you allowed it, whatever, right? So taking that ownership, that's beautiful. All right. Yeah. Third tip, don't rescue your children from life, from experiencing life. I mean, we so want to protect them. We want to be their advocate in school. We want to tell them how to handle things with their friends. We want to rescue them from the sadness or the failures. And if we do that, we have the right to, and we can. But if we are constantly rescuing our kids and not giving them opportunities to advocate for themselves, to learn communication for themselves, we are not helping them. So even though this is going to fail, or I might offer a tip or a suggestion, but I always say it's on you. It's your journey. Do you want to email your teacher? Yep. Do not reach out, mom. So once my kids start to be 4th, 5th grade, I say, this is on you. I can if you want, but let me show you how to do it. How do you advocate for yourself? How do you get through those rough times for yourself, and not rescuing our kids from life, because then they become adults who don't know how to deal with the challenges and don't know how to deal with the hardships and are afraid and are like still looking to you to help them with things. And A, what if you're not there? But B, we want independent, free thinking, creative, loving adults who are going after their deepest heart's desires. And so we have to let our kids fail or struggle while they're in the protection of our home, so we can be there to like nurture and pick them up and help them through the challenges that come their way, so they can learn that they are resilient and they can get through tough things too.
Yeah, that was well said right there. And I believe that when you do let your kids fall, it helps with their confidence too, that somebody believes in them. Mom or dad really believe in them. That they can make choices, and then when they make a mistake, that they have, their cheerleaders behind them that help lift them up when they need it, or talk through situations. I'm trying to think of what really comes to mind with that, but I would say even problem solving with kids, with relationships that they have in school is what really comes to mind, because sometimes you'll have, I'll never forget Brittany being in school, and she was in junior high, and there was kind of like a bully girl that, you know, wanted to take over on all the friends, and she didn't want Brittany to be a part of that. And Brittany literally came home and went into a ball on the floor crying, I'm going to have no friends. She's going to take everyone away and blah, blah, blah. And you think, oh my gosh, now what do I do? And these things are real when your kid feels so alone. And it's not like I can say you can hang out with me.
Yeah.
She wants her friends, you know? And so you have to teach those life lessons about, you know, give it a little bit of time, maybe try to figure out where this friend is. Maybe they're jealous of you, or, you know, to really take time. It's so hard with kids. I mean, I remember that bully not really having a lot of support at home.
Right. Well, that's the thing, is the kids who feel like they have to like get everyone against someone else are the ones who generally are the most insecure.
Yeah.
They really want to keep that friend group close. So to Brittany, I would have said something to the terms of like, you know what, she's got a lot on her plate, and all you need to do is just keep showing up as the loving friend. You just keep being nice to people, even to the mean girl, you know. Yeah. And the people won't want to be in the mean girl tribe. They'll want to come over and hang out where it's easy and it's just loving and it's supportive. And even if just one of those people comes over, you know, you're not going to be alone when you just constantly show up as a loving person, and you're always just hoping for the best for everyone, even the mean girl. Then you will be the one that will come out ahead. And I know that might seem like woo-woo, or it's, you know, not possible, but it is possible. Just always take the high road. Always stay set to love.
Well, and I always say, you know, one of the things that I tried to help her to see is those really are not the kind of people that you want in your life anyway. I know it's still hard at your age to understand that that's not the kind of energy that you want around you. And just remember, even like my mom told me, if you only have a few really good quality friends, and this too shall pass, you need to just, we need to preoccupy ourselves doing something else. You have your sister that is always going to be your best friend, and we're going to focus on what we can do. And this is going to pass. I promise you, this will pass. And you never know, this girl may turn around and come around, but your true friends, no one can take them away. And it ended up the same exactly as we said. You know, after a little bit of time, Brittany said, you know what, Mom, I have this other friend, and now we're going to do this. And, you know, your life has to take shifts, but I had to let her feel those feelings. But that was tough. That was a tough one.
Well, she's a productive, lovely, beautiful human today. So she made it through. Good job.
And we're out of time. So I want to thank everybody for listening. If you've got some ideas for us, please email us, and know that we really do love you, and we appreciate you coming to our show. We're at settolove.com. Also, you can find us at settolovepodcast@gmail.com if you want to send us a note or a question. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Love you, friends.
Love you too.
Hit the bell. Hit the bell.